So what was the question again? Oh, why is it called the traffic jam? Well, you know, the reason is, it's because I have two really cool cars. Seriously cool cars. And I love drifting, racing, because I am fast and slick. And plus, I like to create a bit of traffic jam myself with a whole lot of great music. Bulumnaka, my name is Rio, your host and DJ, right here on the Today FM Traffic Jam every weekday from 3 p.m. to 7. Right here on Today FM, today's hit music.
Bula FM nambang dua na sera ni wasi ningaw na di bawatara ni sibiti ko bekian na diwa na tini na miniti na may pakuriti wala beng grabe na nontang nononggo kanda na dapat ko anin rona kaloko na kami din debo bili na tayo wali ni may dapat ko na wani matakabo kan lebu sarati ko na bisera tali ni na namaka do ba tayo may kina na kinan daw ro di kanamaki Bula binaka ayo salamilawa do ba tayo kiyawa na bawatara na wani vio na kaloko moni tiki na barumbuka na Bula FM nambang dua na sera
In this bulletin, released Fijian soldiers talk of their days in the hands of al-Nusra. Emotions run high as families welcome news of release of their loved ones. And multinational observer group finds no anomalies in elections process. Good evening, I'm Jackie Spate and this is FBC News. Prime Minister Vurenge Bainimarama has commended everyone for coming together to support the 45 Fijian soldiers who were detained in Syria over the past 2 weeks. In a national address this morning, Bainimarama says he is overwhelmed by the outpouring of support for our soldiers from Fijians of all backgrounds and of all faiths. Vosita Kotewasawasa reports.
The soldiers are now safely back in the UN compound. They received a huge welcome from their very relieved comrades, Prime Minister Bainimarama sharing the joyous occasion.
These 45 men are heroes. They kept their cool and showed restraint under the most extreme circumstances imaginable. Because of their discipline, not one militant was killed and none of our soldiers were harmed. They upheld the integrity of UN peacekeeping and as a result have strengthened Fiji's reputation in the international community.
Bainimarama says the soldiers will be assessed by UN staff to determine whether they are fit to continue with the UN-OFF mission in the Golan Heights.
Our men will need to be debriefed and they obviously deserve a period of rest before they return to their duties. But I know that they are all keen to continue their mission.
Army Commander Brigadier General Moses Sitikuitonga says the release of the 45 men is a result of talks between the commander of the group and the leader of the al-Nusra Front.
They confirmed that the release was due to a promise made to the men of their safety and security by one of the leaders of the al-Nusra team that went into position 27. The negotiation with Captain Rambuka, he said that he will ensure the safety and the security of our personnel. And under Islam law, that promise had to be kept.
Tiguitonga says position 27, the post held by the 45 men before being taken by al-Nusra, remains empty for the time being.
We have not tried to fill it, nor will we try and fill it until we have a proper assessment of the security of that location.
Meanwhile, upon their return, the soldiers were welcomed with a church service, a timely reminder that faith can move mountains, in this case, release 45 soldiers unharmed and all in good spirits. Vasita Kotemwasawasa, FBC News.
Prayers, fasting, and a firm faith in God will long be the stories of the peacekeepers who were captured and held for 2 weeks by the al-Nusra group. Hours after their release this morning, some of the soldiers couldn't wait to share their testimonies. And through the latest in communication technology, their stories reached our shores within minutes. Vosita Kote Wasawasa again with this story.
The capture of the 45 peacekeepers in the Golan Heights is perhaps the military's biggest test in its almost 30 years of peacekeeping history. Daily prayers and church services have been very much a part of history of the peacekeeping missions in the different countries. Lance Corporal Choeli Naivalu, who is one of the soldiers released this morning, took it upon himself to put his and comrades' faith to test and encouraged everyone to pray and fast 2 days into their captivity.
4 days into our fasting and praying, we saw that our guards started to loosen up towards us, putting their weapons aside, and we started to have conversations. This was a testament to us that the Lord had started to touch their hearts.
Naivola says it came to a point where members of the Al-Nusra group put all their weapons aside and came into the room where they were held to converse with them.
During our fasting period, we saw how good they were in looking after us, the way they fed us, cleaned up where we were kept. We saw the powerful hand of God move them because we claimed it during our prayer sessions.
Naivola admits it wasn't easy for them to part ways with the members of the group when it was time for their release.
For those who watched us, when time came to part ways today, we hugged each other and we saw how emotional they were, even though we were of different faiths. We saw how God moved as we ended up being close, crying, bidding each other goodbye today.
Although there was a tinge of sadness at having to leave, the soldiers are relieved to be released.
Thank you for your prayers to religious organizations, to all Fijians. Thank you.
We should thank God. To my family back home, thank you. I hope to see you all when we return.
We are thankful for your prayers and support. Our prayers have been heard. Thank you all, and we are thankful to be alive and well at Canfor.
We are thankful to the Lord for answering our prayers and helping us through the difficult time. We know that we weren't the only ones who went through the ordeal, as everyone at home were with us and the RFMF. Today we are happy with their release, and we always knew that it was always going to end this way.
Meanwhile, the Land Force Commander, Lieutenant Colonel Chone Kaloniwai, is expected to arrive in Syria later today. Kaloniwai left the country on Wednesday to join the team that was negotiating the soldiers' release. His arrival is timely as he will now be greeting the soldiers in the safe zone at the UN camp. Vasita Kotiwasawasa, FBC News.
The morale of families of the released soldiers was given a boost by a meeting with the Prime Minister in Suva this afternoon. The meeting took place at the very site that had been turned into a counselling centre after the soldiers were captured about a fortnight ago. Ellen Stahls has more.
Emotions were high as the news that their loved ones are now safe. Joanna Tolakinono was overjoyed to know her son, Severosi Nadala, was safe.
When I heard his voice, I couldn't believe it. I began to cry and shout, and I'm so thankful to God for keeping them safe. For the last few days, my family has gone through so much, but God has answered our prayer.
Kiti Tuai was also bursting with joy at the news that his father is safe.
Thank you. Just want to thank the Almighty God for giving my father a good life. Because we just heard the news that he has been released. His name is Leiteusa, known as Chifusa. We want to thank him, and I'm so happy that he's released. Thank you very much.
A total of 10 families showed up here at the RFMF Officers Training Centre in Vatuanga, where they received a very emotional message from the Prime Minister.
We think of our men who have been freed. It's a happy day today for us all, and I would like to thank you for being here. I would like to thank our team in New York and the Fiji military forces for all their efforts.
The rest of the families will be contacted soon over the next few days. Ellen Stahls, FBC News.
The news of the release of the 45 peacekeepers has been welcomed from every corner of Fiji. Eleanor Tarangai View has more.
When the Fijian troops were taken by the Al-Nusra Front group, the nation came together to pray for their safety. We were as one. The release after 14 days in captivity has once again united us.
It is great relief for us as a family. We have 2 members of our family are there, so we're very happy.
They've been doing peacekeeping and that's the way it should be. I'm very happy for them to be released.
Well, I'm so happy for them to release because that's what we really need. All the relatives in Fiji.
I'm really happy that the 45 Fijian souls have been released. I think it's a great achievement.
It's been very frustrating for us because before our election and then this thing happening, I just thank the Lord that they have been released.
I'm really pleased that people of Fiji, clearly their prayers have been answered, and it's nice to see these boys been released very safely, and I can't wait to see them and have a beer with them when they come home.
At least 2 faith-based organizations have expressed gratitude that the men have been safely returned to the UN.
We're indeed grateful to God that they have been released in this way with no message of any harm or any wounds on them.
The Arya Pratindi Sabha welcomes the safe release and says the incident should strengthen our resolve to continue being part of the international efforts to bring peace to war-torn nations. Reactions are also pouring in from all over the world. The U.S. Ambassador to Fiji, Frankie Reid, commended Fiji and the international community for their perseverance to secure the soldiers' safe release, adding Fiji's long-standing role working towards peace far from its shores is an inspiration, and the recent events have proven how difficult it is. Australian Foreign Minister Julie Bishop commended the courage and bravery of the peacekeepers and the strong support shown by their families and friends in Fiji. She also commended the government for its commitment in ensuring the release of the soldiers. In a statement, the French ambassador to Fiji acknowledged the team of negotiators and all efforts to secure the release of the soldiers, adding they pay tribute to the courage of Fijian peacekeepers and to Fiji's strong involvement in peacekeeping. The 45 soldiers will not return to Fiji immediately. They will complete their 1-year stint in the Golan Heights before returning home. Eleanor Turangaiviu, FBC News.
Still to come on FBC News, Fiji Link welcomes new ATR from France, which adds to current fleet.
Gold FM, only the classic hits. Beautiful song from the group Firehouse and When I Look Into Your Eyes. Before that, you heard from Smokey Robinson with One Heartbeat. We'll take a short break and join us in the next hour for more music from Seal. Bulablaga. I'm DJ Tora. Join me every weekdays, 7 until midnight on the Premium Classics. Right here on Gold FM, only the classic hits.
मेरा चांद मुझे आया है नजर, ऐ रात जरा थम थम के गुजर। छाया है नशा मेरे आंखों पर, ऐ रात जरा थम थम के गुजर। रह जाए ना प्यासा मेरा प्यार, मेरे बाहों में भर दे मेरा यार, ऐ रात जरा थम थम के गुजर, ऐ रात जरा थम थम के गुजर। हाय मिर्ची एफएम पर मैं हूं जितेंद्र शांडिल। शामिल हो जाएगा हमारे साथ टुनाइट शो में Monday to Friday from 7 p.m. to 12 a.m. Mirchi FM. It's fun. But you're never gonna get it. Tere haath kabhi na aane. Mane na mane.
Welcome back. This is FBC News. The Multinational Observer Group hasn't found any anomalies in Fiji's election process. MOG began work from the 18th of August, and since then, observers have travelled to almost every corner of Fiji, witnessing pre-polling. Ritika Pratap reports.
The Multinational Observer Group has spoken to political parties and voters, following up their concerns up to the extent possible.
So far, in all our observations, we have not yet witnessed any instances of deliberate misconduct, nor have we received any credible evidence of such misconduct. This doesn't mean that someone somewhere hasn't done the wrong thing, but we haven't seen it, and we have been watching closely.
MOG coordinator Andrew Goletsynowski says the common issue among political parties is the fear of electoral fraud and misconduct, and this will be a focus of their attention.
From the printing of the ballot papers with security protocols embedded, to the physical transport of election materials secured by the police, through to the security of ballot boxes themselves and the tabulation of the count on the 17th. We are closely observing all of those safeguards, and we have a high degree of confidence that should there be any systematic or widespread misconduct, such as would affect the outcome of the election, we would see it.
Teams are travelling to various parts of Fiji to observe pre-polling and has suggested improvements to the Fijian Elections Office.
We've suggested the pre-folding of ballot papers to assist voters to then put those ballot papers into the envelopes, which will save time and particularly make it easier for some of the older voters. We've also suggested that polling officials should help voters in the sealing of the envelopes, and we've seen that is now being done.
The Observer Group team has taken note of complaints from voters with regards to pre-polling.
Include problems with registrations, including difficulties experienced by some voters in changing their registration details. Also problems with pre-polling, including lack of voter awareness, short notice and related issues. More generally, we've observed issues around voter education, particularly given the newness and complexity of the voting system for these elections.
As of today, MOG has 70 accredited observers with 20 more applications pending for 11 different countries. Ritika Pratap, FBC News.
2 more days remain for pre-polling. Watisoni Rakanroka visited a pre-polling centre at Navunimono in Tailevu yesterday and filed this report.
Registered voters in Navunimono village have been waiting for their turn to cast their vote. Their polling centre opened today to cater for the 150 or so registered voters. Akosita, who is voting for the very first time, was one of the first to show up at the centre.
I feel happy because this will be an opportunity for me to choose which government will lead this country.
Most of the villagers in Navunimono are farmers. Those who voted say they want a good outcome in the general election. Choweli Rabulala says it's a different story for those who don't vote.
It's up to them. If they want to say anything about the next government, it will not be counted.
Navunimono village is among 100 other pre-polling stations that opened today.
The people of Navunimono casted their votes today, hoping for a better and a promising future. Watisoni Rekanroka, FBC News.
Fiji Airways subsidiary Fiji Link received its second new ATR aircraft at its hangar in Nandi last night. The airline has leased the plane from an aviation company in Denmark and will use it mainly for its domestic flights. Christopher Chand reports.
Following a 2-hour delay due to bad weather, the ATR 42-600 touched down in Nandi shortly after 8 p.m. It took 5 days and 8 stops from France to get to Fiji.
For the ATR, it's a very simple game. We don't own this aircraft, we lease this aircraft.
This aircraft will be used for domestic flights between the main centers of Nandi, Suva and Lambasa. But the arrival of the new planes doesn't mean that flying will become cheaper.
Well, new aircraft don't have necessarily anything to do with fares, because fares are basically result of a business case where you have some costs and some revenue and someone needs to add up.
By the end of this year, they will have 2 ATR 72-600s to focus on regional flights. But the burning question remains, what will happen to passengers trying to get to Honiara?
Look, we are not desperate in this because we have so plenty business opportunities using the ATR 72. So if there is a dispute within the government and if the Solomon government, for whatever reason ever, denies us the landing rights, then there's something to discuss between the governments. But we are not desperate for that.
With a modern ATR fleet, Fiji Link is now considering what to do with its 3 twin otters, which are used to get to most of the smaller airstrips in the islands. There is a possibility new twin otters will join the fleet. Christopher Chand, FBC News.
We now join Chris live from our Nandi office to tell us more about the new planes for Fiji Link.
Jackie, this is the smaller aircraft when compared to the ATR 72 which had arrived in June. It has a seating capacity for 40 passengers. The second ATR 72 arrives in December as part of Fiji Link's 5-year master plan to increase capacity by 12.3%. And if you thought that this would be the last year to see new planes, then think again. Fiji Airways will receive its new Boeing 737-800 aircraft early next year and its 4th Airbus in 2016.
Looking forward to seeing the new aircrafts. Thanks so much for that, Chris. Friday night sports now. Jamie, what do you have for us?
Well, after the break, we take a look at the National 7 squad that was named earlier today and preview tomorrow's Vodafone Cup Top 8 final between the McCoy Bulldogs and the Saru Dragons. This and more coming up.
तो आप हमें बता सकते हैं कि जो बलात्कार हो रही हैं इसको कैसे रोक सकते हैं? आप हमें अपनी राय दे सकते हैं श्रोताओं की जो आग लग रही है दोष किसका है? किसको हम दोष दे सकते हैं? इस पर हम किसको दोष दें? ड्राइवर्स को या फिर पुलिस को? नमस्ते फीजी, देश की धड़कन रेडियो फीजी 2 पर मैं मोहिनी। हमारे साथ में शामिल हो जाइएगा दृष्टिकोण प्रोग्राम में हर सोमवार से शुक्रवार तक रात 7 से 8 बजे तक दृष्टिकोण प्रोग्राम में।
Ni sa bulu bina kana turna na kini marama ni bulu bina kana doro bau kini sone lewa. Ni sa bulu bina kana ngone en do talem no ngona ni wawai katalau en mataka en dai.
En vindela na mai nei tasiri.
No bulu malaka go ni bilote nai sorta boa.
En lomo ni bonua mai sanganga.
Eu bulu go Samuel Samuel. Na no ngona ni wawai katalau en radio Fijian nandomo vitina go gani vena. Mai no kini diwa en bi mataka moni tikina pagruka. Ni kai namaka.
Fiji Sevens coach Ben Ryan named his reduced 24-member training squad earlier today. With no major surprises, Ryan has had the luxury to bring some old hands back into the fold. Talendao Dakadaka reports.
National Sevens coach Ben Ryan named a powerful 24-member squad that will contest for a spot in the final 12. There are 9 survivors from last season, and former reps Nasoni Rocco, Aisake Katonimbau and Manueli Langai have been given one more chance to impress Ryan.
I picked 24 and next week I'll then be separating the 24. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to select what I think will be our 12-man Gold Coast and our 12-man Oceania. I'm going to see how the combinations run next week and make a call on it. But these 24 are what I consider to be the strongest 24 players I've got at my disposal at the moment.
It's not the end of the road for the 6 players that have missed the cut, as they will be featuring in the Ovalau Sevens tournament as well.
The boys that didn't make the cut have been invited to join other sides that are going to be playing at Ovalau. So they'll be playing for teams like Yamathea and Yasawa Stingers and other sides there as well. So it gives them a chance immediately to show me and the rest of the boys that they should be in that 24. So the door's not shut yet, but the players that are in the 24, they certainly have that first chance.
The squad will continue their training camp at Pacific Harbour next week before departing for Lebuka on Thursday. The Ovalau Sevens will kick off on Friday with the final 12-member squad to be announced after the final on Saturday. The remaining players will contest the Oceania Sevens. Talendo Dakadak, FBC Sports.
The Fair Trade McCoy Bulldogs Rugby League side is confident of reclaiming the Vodafone Cup Top 8 title against the KBL Saru Dragons tomorrow. The two sides will square off in the grand final at Churchill Park. Leading the charge for the Bulldogs will be former Fiji Mbati reps Choine Wesile, Osea Sandrau and skipper Etika Rokumbuli. The Bulldogs will not be deterred by the Dragons' dominant form this season as it hunts for the title it last won in 2012.
With the preparations that we've been conducting in McCoy, we are all in our hearts knowing that the boys will give it out 110% because we've been behind them all through the season. We have our ups and downs, and we have in the rounds we have not beaten Saru Dragons, but that does not give us in our preparation. That motivates us to another level of rugby league that we are going to give this Saturday.
The match starts at 2:05 p.m. tomorrow at Churchill Park, and you can watch it live on FBCTV. The Oceania Karate Championship started in Suva today with teams from around the region taking part. 7 countries and over 250 athletes are competing at the 2-day event. Fiji is hosting the event for the first time in 10 years. The national team is scheduled to go up against top teams from the region such as Australia, New Zealand, Tahiti, Papua New Guinea and Vanuatu. The finals will take place at the Vodafone Arena tomorrow. The annual primary schools football competition has been hailed a success. The 2014 tournament ended today with organizers already planning for next year. Rohit Deo has more.
Close to 400 students represented 28 districts over the last 3 days at the ANC Stadium.
As we planned, everything went well, and we are very much hopeful that all the teams that have came from all the way far away from Banua Lebu, from western side, they had a very good time at the ANZ Stadium.
There were improvements seen in the standard of soccer displayed, with some new districts taking part in the tournament for the very first time.
After this, we are thinking that these players will end up in the secondary school, especially the under-14 boys. They'll end up in the secondary school of their respective district, and they'll be chosen to take part in the secondary level. And after they're finishing the secondary level, definitely they'll end up with the district teams.
For those students who missed out this year, there's a lot to expect next year as well. This as the association plans on bigger and better things for the 2015 edition to be held in Alambasa.
Already Lambasa has bidded to host the tournament, so we are moving this tournament for next year. We are having this tournament in Lambasa at Subrel Park, and the way we organized here, whatever weakness we had, we will try to rectify them, and we want to have a better tournament in Lambasa next year.
Suva were brilliant hosts this year, and for sure the Lambasa officials would have started making plans to do better next year. Rohit Deo, FBC Sports.
Meanwhile, Mba took out the under-14 division title after beating Lautoka 1-0, and Andongo defeated Mba 3-2 to be crowned champions in the under-12 division. Still with football, the Lambasa football side hasn't given up hope of qualifying for the 2015 OFC Champions League. The Bambasing Lions will face Mba tonight, Nandranga on Sunday and Nandi on Monday. This will end the season for the Lions, who are bent on winning all its matches.
By looking at the points table, we still got a chance to qualify for the whole league. If we are able to get all those 3 games, 9 points, and if Ba loses 1 game, basically we can get through for the whole league. But then again, it will be a hard task, you know. So, but we are positive that we can do well.
The Mba-Lambasa match kicks off at 7 p.m. and also today, Suva meets Rewa at the same time in Nausori. That was your sports for this evening. It's back to Jackie now with business.
The Fiji Development Bank has signed a partnership providing a $2 million loan to the South Pacific Development Microfinance Limited. The partnership will ensure that SPBD extends its network of assistance to micro-entrepreneurs. FDB says this is one of the avenues where it can impact the lives of grassroots people, contribute to the development of Fiji's economy, and improve the quality of life for Fijians.
We've worked with over 30,000 families throughout the South Pacific, and we've provided about $52 million US, which by the way is almost exactly 100 million Fijian dollars in unsecured credit to those 33,000 families. We've got a lot more opportunity here in Fiji to make a big difference to a lot of families that we haven't worked with yet.
The partnership will also help the 2 organizations further explore collaborative efforts in financial education and marketing assistance for women. Weather time now with Trish.
Thanks, Jackie. Now, with today's conditions, Suva was the only center with the cloudy skies throughout the day. The rest of the centers, Nandi, Lotoka, Mbal, Lambas, and also Savu had partly cloudy skies. Temperatures, Suva 90, 29, Lotoka 31, Ba 32, Savu 28, and Lambasa 32. Ba, Lotoka, Nandi, Rakiraki, and Tavoa will drop to a chilly 17 tonight. Now, Saturday's forecast, Suva and Savu might have partly cloudy skies, as the rest of the centers should have fair conditions all throughout the day. Mariners forecast easterly winds 15 to 20 knots and moderate seas. Magnificent sunset sent in by Naomi Koroi Samununu.
Thanks so much for that, Trish. Recapping our stories tonight, released Fijian soldiers talk of their days in the hands of al-Nusra. Emotions run high as families welcome news of release of their loved ones, and multinational observer group finds no anomalies in elections process. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC News or simply hashtag FBC News. That's all from us today. I'm Rita Pradashni, joins you from tomorrow with the weekend news. I'll be back on Monday. Till then, you have yourselves a safe and enjoyable weekend. Nisa Modamanda.
FM number 2 en serie ngona ni ndende manda ke central rental sabu ke de rusumu ko minichi me va na koloko ni sabula
oya wa tisoni dalai
gonga e mozidono
nama ke kerau mena tolu ke bitu ena via kabi moliti ke na borombuka
goria na lali ne kabi Bula FM number 2 en serie
Gold FM, only the classic hits. Beautiful song from the group Firehouse and When I Look Into Your Eyes. Before that, you heard from Smokey Robinson with One Heartbeat. We'll take a short break and join us in the next hour for more music from Seal. Bulablaga. I'm DJ Tora. Join me every weekdays, 7 until midnight on the Premium Classics. Right here on Gold FM, only the classic hits.